He walked out of prison with hope burning in his chest, believing her love had waited for him all those years. She was there just as she promised, but her eyes carried shadows he could not name. As Stephen tried to rebuild their love, laughter returned to Rachel's voice, but it wasn't because of him. One night, the truth came crashing down, leaving him more broken than the prison walls ever had. What he discovered that night would change his heart forever. Long ago, in a quiet little town, Stephen and Rachel were known as two hearts meant for each other. They grew up together, walked hand in hand through the fields, and whispered promises under the stars. Their love seemed unshakable, as steady as the river that ran near the town. But one night, Stephen made a terrible mistake. His choice broke the law, and the sheriff's men came to take him away. Behind the iron gates of prison, Stephen's world went dark. Rachel stood outside those gates, tears on her cheeks, and promised, "I'll wait for you." And she did. She wrote him letters week after week, telling him about the changing seasons, the sound of the wind, and how her heart still belonged to him. Those letters kept Stephen alive, and he dreamed of the day he would walk free into Rachel's waiting arms. But time is a slow river, and years began to weigh on Rachel's spirit. At first, her letters were full of hope, but little by little, the words lost their glow. Loneliness crept into her life like a shadow. Her friends moved on, neighbors whispered, and she carried the burden of being the girl waiting for a prisoner. Then Daniel appeared. He was a kind man, steady and dependable, someone who always offered her a listening ear. Rachel resisted at first, reminding herself of the promise she had made. But Daniel was there when her tears were too heavy to hide, when silence pressed too hard against her chest. He filled her days with laughter and light, things she had missed for so long. And though she kept writing Stephen, her heart was slowly leaning toward another man. Stephen, locked away, held on to her words, not knowing the truth growing behind them. At last, the day came when the prison doors opened. Stephen stepped out into the world with hope burning in his chest. Rachel was there, waiting just as she promised. He ran to her, held her tight, and for a moment, the world felt whole again. But as he looked into her eyes, he saw shadows he did not recognize. She smiled, but her smile no longer carried the same warmth. Stephen told himself it was the weight of the years, that love could mend what time had broken. He tried to build a life with her, finding work, trying to settle, but something was missing. Rachel grew quiet, often slipping away for hours, and when she returned, her laughter sounded different. Lighter, freer, like it belonged to someone else. Stephen's heart grew restless, but he clung to hope, believing their love could still survive. He did not see that it was already slipping away. One evening, Stephen returned home early and found Rachel with Daniel. They were not speaking, but the way she looked at him told Stephen everything. It was the same look she once saved only for him, the look that made him believe in forever. His voice trembled as he asked, "Rachel, who is he?" Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak but finally whispered, "Stephen, Daniel has been here when you couldn't. He cared for me when I was alone. I love him now." Those words cut deeper than the years behind bars. Stephen staggered back, searching her face for even a flicker of doubt, but her silence was heavy with truth. He wanted to shout, to beg, to remind her of all the letters and promises. But the Rachel he once knew was gone, and the woman before him had already chosen another path. That night, Stephen walked out to the edge of the town, where the fields met the wide open sky. He sat alone, staring up at the stars they once counted together. The night air was cold, but the ache inside him was colder. He remembered Rachel's laughter, her letters, her vow to wait forever. Now, forever was broken. She had chosen Daniel, and Stephen was left with nothing but the ghost of their love. The townspeople whispered of his sorrow, saying love is like a fire, it can burn bright, but left too long in the dark, it dies. And so, Stephen learned the cruel truth. Sometimes love waits, but it cannot survive the weight of time and loneliness. His heart carried her memory, but his arms would never hold her again. And from that day, the story of Stephen and Rachel was told as a warning, that promises can fade, even when made under the brightest stars.